How far would you go to make an impact in the world? This fall, 10 incredible entrepreneurs will visit our campus to tell their stories and share the steps they took to be catalysts for change. The 2021 Entrepreneur Leadership Series, the most valuable one-credit class you will ever take.
So I am very, very excited to have my good friend Dan Clark here tonight, one of the finest public speakers in the world. You're going to love his message, and we'll introduce him in just a minute. However, last week I had two students come up and tell us something they've learned that was really important and significant in their lives that they will apply in their careers. One was Adam, I think, Adam Smith. And who was the other one? So, okay, come up here, you two. I've got a gift for you.
Thank you.
They were the first to be brave and come up and make a comment. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing tonight. Two people. Who wants to come up and tell us one thing you've learned that has been very significant for your career and for your life, okay? Okay, in the back there. And let's have a female, another. Who wants to come up? Okay, come on up. So give us your name, tell us what you've learned, who the speaker was, and I'll give you a gift.
Awesome. Sweet. So one thing that I've really learned, honestly, I think it was from, was it the guy from Chicago, New York? What was his name again? Arshay Cooper, yeah. I really love just hearing his story, and I feel like in everyone's lives, you know, we all go through different kind of hardships and trials and stuff, and it was just really cool to see his life through his eyes and get to know, like, if you want to work through something, you know, you can always get out of it. You just have to push forward and try your best.
Awesome.
Sweet. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm Christina. I can't remember the speaker's name, but I remember he talked about owning up to your mistakes and being accountable for that. Yeah. What was it, David?
It's David last week.
David, yeah. Yep, exactly.
Very good. Thanks. Okay, it's great to be with you again. You know, Wednesday's my favorite day of the week. Wednesday night is my favorite night. Rachel is now going to introduce Dan Clark, then we'll have a brief video, and then he's going to take the rest of the evening.
My name is Rachel Snell. I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you guys to Dan Clark. I actually heard that he has an introduction video by Larry King himself, and I thought, how could I compete with that, right? So I'm not going to say too much that Larry won't already say, but I will say that I had some FaceTime with Dan, and I was able to interact with him a little bit, and he is one of the most genuine, charismatic men I've ever met. And I think we have more to learn from him than we would think. So get your laptops, your phones out, be ready to take some notes, because he has been inducted into the National Hall of Fame of Speakers and is among the top 10 speakers in the world, you guys. This is an incredible opportunity for us, and he has been nice enough to come every few years to Utah State to speak to us. So he has spoken over to 6 million people in over 71 countries, in over all of the 6 continents. And so when I'm a successful entrepreneur someday, I hope to be able to have him speak in Antarctica to a group of people that I will put together. Please welcome Dan Clark.
He's here. Coming up next. I don't believe it. Dan Clark is here, the international speaker. No kidding. Achievers North America, Achievers Europe. Both of them named Dan Clark one of the top 10 speakers in the world. I thought I was one. He's one. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's a singer. You gotta be kidding. He's a singer, an athlete, a songwriter, a philanthropist, a screenwriter, an adventurer. He's everything. He's funny. He's inspirational. Hey, he's Dan Clark. He's changing the world one story at a time. Stay tuned.
Dan is the author of 21 books and a primary contributing author to the Chicken Soup of the Soul series, where one of Dan's world-famous stories was made into a film at Paramount Studios, starring the late Jack Lemmon. Dan's writing and speaking career began when he fought his way back from a paralyzing injury that cut short his football career. Zig Ziglar sponsored Dan into the National Speakers Association and for 25 years mentored Dan to become one of the most sought-after speakers on the planet. Dan has headlined the largest stages in the world, working with Fortune 500 companies, Super Bowl champions, military leaders, and government rulers who continually seek Dan's thought leadership, counsel, and inspiration. In 2005, Dan was inducted into the National Speakers Hall of Fame. Dan's extraordinary life includes flying fighter jets with the Air Force Thunderbirds, catching 9.4 Gs, going Mach 2 at twice the speed of sound, racing automobiles at the Nürburgring, serving on the Olympic Committee, and carrying the Olympic torch in the 2002 Winter Olympics. Serving on the International Board of Governors Operation Smile, and soaring to the edge of space in a U-2 reconnaissance craft, where after a full day of training, accelerated to a classified altitude above 70,000 feet, and for 3.5 hours, gazed into the blackness of space, witnessing the breathtaking curvature of the Earth, and experienced a 15-mile high perspective on things as they really are. As CEO of the Art of Significance Leadership Development Corporation, Dan has interviewed and hung out with the most celebrated personalities of our time and has appeared on over 500 TV and radio programs, including Oprah and Glenn Beck, and on the cover of Millionaire magazine. But more important to Dan, and most significant of all, in 2012, Dan was named Utah Father of the Year. Truly a Renaissance man for all reasons, who will help you transform your life from success to significance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Dan Clark.
That was a good first impression. Let me slobber on myself. When my Aunt Lucy was 63 years old, she started walking 5 miles every day. Now she's 91 and we don't know where she is. I thought that was funnier than you did. We laugh, but do you realize that's the number one limiting belief that holds us back at every age? We always think we have to answer, where are we going? Anybody in here a freshman? Anybody here 18 or 19? Aren't you tired of having people go, what's your major? Like you're gonna make a decision when you're 18 or 19 for the rest of your life, this is what I'm gonna do. We're always conditioned to be able to answer, where are you going? What is it going to look like when you get there? What are you going to do with your major? I even asked Colton, what's your dream job? And he's like, I don't know yet. When in reality, the only answer we really can come up with is, where are you right now? It's like ordering an Uber ride that requires that you enter in your current location. If you lie about where you are, the directions won't work. So where are you right now? Where are you right now? What do you believe? Where are you right now? Where's your attitude? Where's your body? Where's your mindset? Where's your energy? Where's your commitment to excellence? Where are you right now? And I think that's a critical question, because I want to know what you believe right now, sitting in this beautiful theater, about the definition of entrepreneurship. Anybody want to offer their definition of what an entrepreneur is, what you think it is right now? It could change tomorrow. What is it right now? What's an entrepreneur? Yes, ma'am. What's your name? Victoria. Victoria. Not Vicky, not Vic, it's Victoria. Where are you from?
I'm from Texas.
What part of Texas?
Houston area.
Like where? Like,
The Woodlands, just north by an hour.
I know the Woodlands, I know Spring, I know Kingwood. So your parents have a lot of money. Do you know this, sitting next to her? That you should be hitting on her a little bit more than you do, man. He's what?
His parents are the ones with the money.
Are you dating?
Yes.
This is good for both of you. This is good. Yeah. So I'm sorry I went off on a tangent. This is like, You actually look like the couple that stands on wedding cakes, you know, that little statue, you know, like. How long have you been dating?
A little more than a year.
Then why don't you have your arm around her? And I love speaking in college campuses because you can always find the folks who've been dating 1 week, they're like giving each other a blister. They're like, oh. And you're like, we've been around for a year. This is okay. I'm going to take notes. I'm sorry, what is the definition of an entrepreneur? Victoria.
Yes.
Wait, what's your name?
AJ. AJ.
AJ? Yeah. What does it mean? What does it say?
Alfred John. I guess what it stands for.
Alfred John? Let's take a vote. Victoria sounds like royalty. AJ, not so much. But Alfred Frederick. Go with that, man. Hi, I'm Alfred. Did you say Alfred Frederick?
Alfred John.
Sorry, my cholesterol count's higher than my SAT scores. Hi, I'm Alfred John, and this is my fiancée, Victoria. Hi, I'm AJ, this is Vic. I'm taking notes. Yes, Victoria, please.
It's someone who finds or creates their own opportunities.
Someone who finds or creates their own opportunities. How many of you agree with that? Anybody else have a definition? Let's add to that. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Tyler.
Tyler, where are you from?
South Jordan, Utah.
Cool.
I would say an entrepreneur is someone who creates value.
So let's add those. There's not a bad answer. Let's just keep going. Anybody want to add to that conversation? Yes, sir. How long have you been dating?
8 months.
Just turn around, look. Go ahead, bro. What's your name? I'm sorry?
My name's Preston.
Preston. That's a cool name, too. Is this your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance?
Fiance.
Very cool. How long? 8 months? Okay, so what's your definition? How are you going to add to this?
An entrepreneur is a risk taker.
Is it what?
A risk taker.
Okay, now we're talking. You see, as I travel around and I ask questions about entrepreneurs, the part that bothers me the most is that people actually answer, I'm self-employed. And what they're saying is, I am going to exchange time for money. And then you die. And if you only exchange time for money, you could actually basically say, I'm a CEO, which means now you could hire somebody to do what you're doing because you're going to make the same amount as they are, but you're self-employed, which means now you're shackled, you're married to your business, to your enterprise, and you'll never become wealthy because we all have the same amount of time. You cannot, in any circumstance, exchange time for money. So in my experience, a true entrepreneur is someone who exchanges ideas for money and weighs out the risk-reward algorithm. Is it going to be worth my time if I'm willing to exchange an idea for money? Does that make sense? You see, there's no such thing as an idea crisis, there's no such thing as a financial crisis, only an idea crisis. Ideas create income. And because necessity is the mother of invention, when you start saying to yourself, my gosh, time, I'm going to run out of time before I run out of ideas, I got to come up with a killer idea, then you start adding the words in value. And what we're talking about in these three definitions amalgamated into the consummate definition of what it really means. What inspires us to be an entrepreneur then? Anybody want to answer that one? Yeah, please, what's your name?
Tate.
Tate? Cool. Where are you from?
Centerville, Utah.
Very cool.
I think entrepreneurship is exciting. It has an excitement to it that's not very bland. Rather, like gets your blood going, stresses you out, and also gives you joy.
A love. A reason to wake up early and stay up late. And they all say the old cliche, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Is that what you're kind of saying to us? Okay, in my observation, most people hate their jobs. They only look forward to Friday instead of Monday. They think they're paid by the hour when in reality we're paid for the value we bring to that hour. So how do we add value with the right idea and exchange that idea for money and then hire other people to do what we do? One of my favorite lines, especially as a speaker and an entertainer, Frank Sinatra never set up his own microphone. That doesn't mean that I'm arrogant and I sit there and let everybody else cater to my every need. It's acknowledging the fact that I am a content creator. I've got gold records in country music. I learned in Nashville you edit so every word pays its own way. I'm the brainstorming idea guy. And yet I have an accountant who loves it when the numbers balance. He gets excited to wake up early and stay up late to look at spreadsheets. He goes to bed with the love of his life, and they talk about the Dewey Decimal System or something else because I can't relate. And so what do? I work my strengths and I hire my weaknesses. I find somebody who loves numbers, who loves accounting, who loves that structure, the mathematical algorithms and equations that allow us to run a business and have the statistics and have all the numbers in line so that we are businessmen and businesswomen. But that's not what fires me up. And everybody that watches that's kind of an obsolete film. I've written 37 books, blah, 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 blah. And I felt like I was at my own funeral. Thanks for showing that. But when someone sees someone that I love life, I just go for it because I can. Someone will always say, Clark, my life is so overwhelming. I don't have enough time. And then they'll flatter me, how did you do all these things? And I'm like, what do you mean, how did I do all these things? I just live life. And they said, no, you don't understand. And I said, yes, I do. Any of you wake up in the morning and have an actual routine? Can't always be motivated, but you must be disciplined. Do you have a routine every morning that you stick to? My routine, I wake up every single morning at least by 5 a.m. Why? Because most people don't. I have 4 children. Now I'm an empty nester. I had 1 son, 3 daughters. So when you become a parent, greatest honor I've ever had, Father of the Year, Utah 2012, took that idea to the highest level of imagination. I don't know how I qualified for that. But I take a lot of pride. No other success can compensate for failure in the home. I have 4 amazing kids I could brag on all day long who are entrepreneurs. But I have a spouse responsibility. My wife is the single most important person in my life. I've been married for 41 years. Everybody goes, well, what's your secret? I've only been home 6 weeks total. It's going really, really well. Those who are married laugh. It's the love of my life. So you have spousal responsibilities, whatever that means. If you want to raise your children right, you got to have grounds, you got to have boundaries, you got to have philosophies, psychologies, you got to raise them in a positive environment. I needed to read them a story every night before they went to bed. I had to do the parenting thing, right? But the second we have family prayers and click off the reading light and they go to sleep and my wife's asleep, my time. I don't have to answer to anybody on this planet. 5 a.m., I go to my gym. I don't hop in my car. Logan has snow. I live down in Salt Lake City. We have snow. We can talk ourselves out of getting in a car on a snowy morning faster than anything else in our lives. I don't feel like going to the gym today. I don't want to compete with those cute little French guys in the fuchsia spandex and get my time on the treadmill. I don't want to do it. So I put a gym in my house, so all I have to do is go downstairs in my flannels, put on my gym shoes, crank on some awesome rock and roll, and work my guts out for an hour before anyone else on the planet is awake. Before my phone rings for business, before I have any any responsibilities with my family. And isn't it cool that before I go to bed that night, I decide on which podcast I'm going to listen to for the hour that I'm pushing myself to my ultimate capacity and potential as a human being in the gym. So now I'm stimulating my mind. I'm learning things that I've always wanted to learn, like French. Bonjour, comment ça va? Je suis très content d'être ici. Je ne peux pas parler français. Je suis mexicain. All in my gym while I'm exercising. And then I leave the gym and study for an hour before anyone else on the planet wakes up. And I learn what I want to learn. And because you work your strengths and hire your weaknesses, why not spend some time strengthening my weaknesses or following a passion like songwriting? Any of you into music? Yeah, very cool, very cool. The classic cost of going to a recording studio is about $85 to $150 an hour, 3-hour minimum. So you have a sound engineer and you go in there and do whatever you can do, and then you have to hire musicians and the whole deal. I put a recording studio in my house because my creative juices kick in at about 11:30 at night. And when I built my dream home way back in 1989, I triple insulated the entire walls so I didn't have neighbors wanting to put their houses up for sale when I pulled out my guitar. I didn't have dogs wanting to kill themselves because of the way I play the piano. I was respectful. What are you willing to do as an entrepreneur to make sure that you are the most compelling, most fascinating, most interesting person that you can possibly be? Why? In the law of attraction, we don't attract who we want, we attract who we are. We attract what we believe we deserve. And if you want someone to invest in your idea and raise capital, we need to understand the law of attraction. We need to figure out a way to make sure that they choose us. Remember, the goal is not to do business with everybody who wants what you have. The goal is to do business only with those who believe what you believe, so they choose you, not just somebody who does what you do. It's so critically important that we start our conversation tonight with you. Not with your idea that's going to make income, that's going to make yourself a gajillionaire. Why should I go to business? Why should I go to battle? Why should I want to affiliate with you? Why? And my friends, it boils down to answering, where are you right now? Let's celebrate the fact that you have invested in yourself, either in a major, most of you in a minor, in entrepreneurship. Matt Colton, his major is mechanical engineering, his minor is entrepreneurship. I meet the beautiful and amazing, smart, strong, sassy Rachel in the parking lot. And she escorts me into Michael Glauser's office, who's one of my dearest friends, and one of my heroes, one of my mentors. His hair hasn't moved since 1977. And I'm intimidated every time I'm around him because I'm losing hair right here. I'm growing it in places I don't even need it. Not a fair trade-off. My only hope is that the hair on my right ear will grow long enough I can comb it up over the top of my head. Fake all of you out. How many of you know Ken Snyder? Is it Dr. Ken Snyder?
No, it isn't. I'm a senior lecturer and executive director of the Sequence, but not a doctor.
Way too much information. He and I went to high school together. Do you all know who I'm talking about? Just stand up and wave a little bit. Oh yeah, in junior high. That's where I want to go with this. You know, Ken was the most popular guy in the 7th grade. All the girls loved him. Do you know why? He was the only guy in the 7th grade who had his own parking stall. In the 7th grade, he was 19 years old and was able to drive himself to school. This was a joke. You really don't think I'm funny. This breaks my heart. You're like my wife. That wasn't funny at all. Ken Snyder, Harvard. His pedigree list of education and experience outweighs anybody I've ever met. And yet, why am I attracted to do business with him? Or why, after all these years, we run into each other, having been great friends in junior high and high school? Not because of what he did or what he does, and not because of the letters behind his name. It's because of who he is as a human being. When we identify ourselves in terms of what we do instead of who we are, we become a human doing instead of a human being. Unacceptable of significance is what we seek. So we're back to square one, my friends. Who are you really? Our family, we play an icebreaker game. Every time we get together, we play the icebreaker game. I remember when. I remember when. And pre-COVID, we had our 4 adult children come back into town. We allowed them to invite some of their friends, and we're around our formal dining room, and we're having this magnificent feast, and we're going around the table, taking turns one at a time. I remember when I was 9. I remember when I was 15 at our house at Bear Lake. Gets to my turn. I remember coming home from high school one time with a report card, had 4 F's and 1 D on it. My dad's response, son, looks to me like you're spending too much time on one subject. And my mom thought I cheated. It was a tough family to grow up in. We all have different memories that have molded our character. And then we came to my daughter's best friend, and she breaks down crying. She starts sobbing. I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "No." She said, "I'm 31 years old. I just got divorced. I just got fired from my job, and my mother was just diagnosed with breast cancer." You could feel the tension fill the room. And through her sobbing tears, she says, "I've hit rock bottom." Are we not all guilty at some point in our lives when we think everything that we thought was going to happen to us seems to start unraveling in personal relationships and jobs and business opportunities in school? I've hit rock bottom. What would you say in that moment? In a flash of inspiration, I said, "Sweetheart, nobody ever hits rock bottom. We hit rock foundation. We hit rock belief. We hit the core values on which we were raised." And when we have an organization, especially an entrepreneurial organization based on a gajillion-dollar idea, and then the economy goes south and COVID hits, when we have something that seems to slam into our business, into our entrepreneurial idea, our organizations never hit rock bottom. They hit rock foundation. They hit the baseline governing principles on which they were built. So here's my question right out of the chutes tonight, my friends. At some point tonight before you go to sleep, will you ask yourself, is your current belief strong enough, deep enough, and true enough to equip you and empower you to respond to rapid change? Because this COVID-19 pandemic is going to happen again in our lives. If you're not failing a few times, it means you're not pushing yourself hard enough. And those who are having trouble to emerging from this pandemic stronger and in better shape than they were before it began are those who did not have a strong enough, deep enough, and true enough belief system that would get them through the steps of resiliency to get back up and go again. Knowing that adversity is what introduces us to ourselves. No one will ever know how strong we are until being strong is our only choice. Are you strong enough? Are your beliefs deep enough and true enough? If not, why not? And what are you waiting for? Oh, when I graduate, then I'm going to get serious about answering, these deep philosophical, theological questions. When I finally get married, then I'll be happy because I'm not happy single. Do you have that I can't wait until mentality, any of you? Back in the day, I was the guy in the Nancy Reagan White House who took Mrs. Reagan's Just Say No program to all 50 states. So way before any of you were born, between 1983 and 1989, I spoke in thousands and thousands of schools to millions of teenagers in all 50 states and all 10 provinces of Canada. And one of my favorite things to do was to say, "How many of you are freshmen?" And these ninth graders they'd be like, "Please don't lock me in a locker. Please, I'm okay." They'd say, "How many of you are sophomores?" And they're like, "Well, at least I'm not a freshman." Where are the juniors? They're like in midlife crisis. I don't know. Where are the seniors? Oh, I'm so tired of the children. I can't wait to get out of this place. Any of you in that syndrome where I asked a freshman, "Do you like being in the ninth grade?" And they would say, "No." And I say, "Wrong answer. You better say, 'Yes, I like being a freshman.' You know why? You have no other choice. You better be the best 18-year-old you can be, the best 9-year-old you can be, the best 27-year-old you can be. If you're a freshman at Utah State University, you better be the best freshman you could be, because you might not make it to the sophomore year. And if you're waiting, I can't wait till I graduate. When I finally have a degree, then I'm going to be somebody. Then I can finally start selling myself. I can have an internship this summer. It has nothing to do with where I want to be. And this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. No, right now matters. Today, you've never been this old before. And today, you'll never be this young again. So right now matters, and every right now matters, which means no matter what your past has been, you have a spotless future. Which means you can't always control what happens, but you can always control what happens next. Are you with me? So here's my question. Do you think I can talk about some things tonight? Be bold without overbearance, and have you leave this magnificent Huntsman School of Business, this beautiful theater, and never be the same? Do you really believe that one moment in time can change you forever? I do. Proof. I was on the program with Henry Winkler, the Fonzie from Happy Days, clearly one of the funniest guys I've ever met. And the saddest thing is so many of you in this auditorium and on Zoom are so young, you don't even know who I'm talking about. That's wrong. That's just criminal. He started in a 1970s television sitcom called Happy Days, and he played the coolest guy who ever lived, the Fonzie. Hey, whoa. Henry Winkler and I, we finished our speeches. He decides he wants to take some time off, treat himself to a matinee movie, so he slides in through the side exit door of the theater. And as Henry Winkler shuffles himself through the aisle and I'm following him, we find ourselves some vacant seats. As we turn to sit down on the chairs to look up at the movie screen, the little girl sitting right behind us smiles this giant smile. She points her finger and she slowly says, "Fonzie." Henry Winkler immediately snaps into the Fonzie character from Happy Days. Hey, whoa. And the lady sitting next to the little girl passes out. Henry Winkler milks the moment. Whoa, I thought this only happened on TV drama. Hey, how cool is this? Whoa. Theater manager comes out, takes care of the woman's needs. She's lying in the aisle, cold pack on her forehead. She's asked one question. Why did you pass out? She said, my little girl is autistic. And that is the very first word she has ever spoken in her entire life. You got to believe. And if you're a real serial entrepreneur, you will wake up earlier than anyone else. You'll stay up later than anyone else. You'll take care of your body with good nutrition so you have real energy. You'll exercise to add years and miles to your life. And with that clarity and that sense of purpose and becoming the very best version of yourself, you'll validate something that I've quoted for so many years. We become the average of the 5 people we associate with the most. If you put a hard-to-catch horse in the same field with an easy-to-catch horse, most of the time you end up with 2 hard-to-catch horses. You put a healthy child in the same room with a sick child, most of the time you end up with 2 sick children. Moral of the story, to be disciplined, healthy, and significant, we must be willing to pay any price and travel any distance to associate with extraordinary human beings. And obviously, in order for us to attract extraordinary human beings, don't you think we must first be an extraordinary human being? And what is an extraordinary human being? Someone who triggers more passion, creativity, and imagination in our being, so that we actually leave everybody we come in contact with saying, I like me best when I'm with you, I want to see you again. I like me best when I'm with you, I want to see you again. Where are the single souls in this auditorium? Yeah. If you go on every single date, one-on-one, one in a group date, concert, and you go in with that mindset that everyone with whom you come in contact, especially the dude or the babe, they will leave you honestly saying, I like me best when I'm with you, I want to see you again. Think about it. Let me go on a tangent. Any of you in love? Oh, that's funny. Victoria's saying, you better raise your hand.
I was actually asking if you should raise your hand. I wasn't sure what you said.
This isn't kiss cam. I'm not going to call you out.
It seems like you are.
Do you agree love is a commitment? Stay with me. It's not too much of a random tangent. Do you agree that love is a commitment, not a way of feeling? Romance is not love. Romance comes from a Greek word that means erotic. So I don't even want to talk about it. But think about it in these terms. If I love you because you're beautiful, that's romance. If you're beautiful because I love you, that's real love. It's a value creating love that inspires us to be the best that we can possibly be. Yeah, but how many of us growing up, especially in college here at USU, how many of us have grown up saying, I love her so much, she makes me feel differently than I've ever felt before. Oh, I love him so much, he makes me feel differently than I've ever felt before. So do breakfast burritos. If you think you're in love, just maybe you need a long, cold shower and a box of Rolaids. What's my point? I love you means absolutely nothing unless we back it up with action. So the three most powerful commitment-oriented words in this world are not I love you, they are I need you, action. What's an extraordinary human being? It's someone who understands what we need to do from a communication perspective so everyone leaves us saying, I like me best when I'm with you, I want to see you again. This isn't romance, lust, this is, I respect you so much. Let's have a relationship where both of us lift one another up with the mindset that when the water in the lake goes up, all the boats rise together. And in that process, we become so attractive to the marketplace, people will give us capital, they will invest in our ideas because they trust us and they want to be around us. They want us to help them become the best version of themselves. Is that not entrepreneurship 101? If I've lost any of you, let me just solidify this idea that it's who you really are that matters. And sometimes we don't really know who we are until something slams into us. I've shared this story for many years. I'm walking through the mall with one of my buddies. Somebody bumps into him and he spills his cup of coffee all over the floor. I said, what happened? He said, I just spilled my cup of coffee. I said, no, you didn't. He said, what? I said, you didn't spill your cup of coffee. You spilled what was in your cup. Had you had tea in your cup, you would have spilled tea. Had you had orange juice or water in your cup, you would have spilled orange juice or water. We can only spill what's in our cup. Law of attraction, we attract not who we want, we attract who we are, even in romantic experiences where we're actually focused in on tying the knot. So if you're negative and the economy slams into you, if you're negative and a personal relationship goes south or somebody screws you over in business, and you're negative, what spills out? Anger, resentment. Are you freaking kidding me? We want to hold a grudge. Suddenly we have this victim mentality. Woe me, you don't understand. I haven't had the same privilege and opportunities that you have, which is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard. It's America. I can give you person after person after person who grew up in the most dire conditions, who with the right idea and character class, celebrating the social graces of please and thank you and kindness, no gossip, no drama, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. They became the star of their own movie and made millions and millions of dollars and millions of dollars for other people because of the law of attraction. No excuses here, my friends. We have to choose better friends, which means we have to be better human beings to attract those people. Are you with me? So if you're negative and the economy, COVID bumps into you, what comes out? Negativity. But if you're positive and something slams into you, what spills out is love, forgiveness. Oh man, I've spilled on myself before. I can just get my trousers cleaned at the cleaners. Unconditional love, not judgmental friendship. You see what happens when we start changing who we see ourselves as being, and then we start working on ourselves in the law of attraction mindset to attract others who want to do business with winners, who want to do business with us. I'm sure this isn't anything you thought I was going to talk about tonight, but it's so critically important that we get our act together. It's so critically important that we understand in order for us to actually become that entrepreneur and come up with that $1 million idea and then share it with people in a trustworthy way where they want to jump with us, they want to do what we want them to do, and together we rise, begins by being that individual that will attract that individual into your life. Does that make sense? So having said that, let me celebrate you. You've invested in yourself to come here tonight. Those of you who are online, you've invested in, tuning in through Zoom. Congratulations, because outside of these walls is a minimum requirement mediocrity. Any of you filled out a job application, gone in for a job interview lately? And what is their requirement? Minimum requirement. Minimum education, minimum experience, minimum for you to get the job, right? Outside of these walls, for some reason, we celebrate minimum requirement mediocrity. And yet you saw it within your soul to come in here and share your life, your time, your experience with others who think like you think and believe what you believe. Congratulations, so let's celebrate that. Because every single time I jump on an airliner, an airplane, a commercial air carrier, I'm reminded of our minimum requirement mediocrity. I've been on the road now for almost 2.5 weeks and been on multiple flights, just got back from Washington, D.C., flew in last night. And every single time I get on an airplane, I'm force-fed the same pre-flight safety demonstration. How many of you have flown and how many of you remember that pre-flight safety demonstration? Yeah. Different show of hands. How many of you listened to that pre-flight safety demonstration? With all due respect, you need therapy. Anybody who has to be taught how to put a seatbelt on should not be allowed in public unsupervised. And yet because it's their job and it's minimum requirement mediocrity, they force feed it to us on every flight. In the event of a decrease in cabin pressure, an oxygen mask will appear. Reach up, tug on the gold cup, place it over your nose and mouth, securing it tightly with an elastic strap. Breathe normally. You're going down. And they say, breathe normally. And the flight attendants lie on every flight. They stand up in front of us, we're here for your safety. No, they're not. I survived a plane crash in 1988, Stanton, Virginia, Shenandoah Valley Airport. When you're going down, the flight attendants are strapped in and screaming just like we are. Just once, I want them to give me the microphone. Let me tell people aboard the plane what really happens in an emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, in the event of a decrease in cabin pressure, a little gold cup's going to conk you in the head. When you stop screaming, brace yourself for a 200 feet per second vertical dive. And if you're traveling with more than one child, pick your favorite. Because you ain't got time to make another choice. What happens when we get on an airplane and the flight attendant's an entrepreneur? You see, a serial entrepreneur looks at something not for what it is, but for what it has the power to become. Serial entrepreneurs want to fix stuff. They want to help people become better today than they were yesterday. And leave saying, I like me best when I'm with you, I want to see you again. What happens when we get on an airplane and the flight attendant wants to make flying fun? Give us an experience. Do we not remember that? Oh yeah, that's where you find entrepreneurial spirit. I'm on a Delta Airlines jet. We're coming into Dallas, Texas. Huge turbulence. We're bouncing all over the sky. We finally land. We bounce, we land. We bounce, we land. Taxi into the gate. Flight attendant comes over the PA system. Hi, welcome to Dallas, Texas. If you enjoyed your flight, tell your friends you flew Delta Airlines. If you did not enjoy your flight, tell your friends you flew Southwest. And everybody on the plane goes, huh? And obviously she had a great relationship with leadership because she then says, and please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened while Captain Kangaroo bounces us the rest of the way to the gate. That's funny. And is it contagious? Yeah. An elderly woman walking the aisle right behind me with her cane. She comes to the doorway. You the pilot? Yes, ma'am. Did we really land or did we get shot down? Entrepreneurial spirit. Taking what is and making it more than it ever thought it could be. Which begins with you. Who are you right now, and what is your commitment when you leave this beautiful auditorium to become better today than you were yesterday, Not because it's expected by others, but because it's demanded of yourself. In order for us to do that, we just need to embrace the sanctity and sacredness of time, which we already talked about. And then we have to embrace the steps of resiliency. Because when you have a $1 million idea, you're going to get 1 billion no's. When you actually have a great idea, you're going to have so many people talk you out of it. Why don't you just go to work for 30 years for this company and get a gold watch? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? That's a stupid idea. So if you understand the steps of resiliency, it's going to prepare you for what is going to happen if your idea is really that good of an idea. You're going to have so much resistance until you find that one person who believes what you believe, until you find another person who believes in you, and together you rise. May I share my story? I played football for 13 years total. One day in practice, the dream ended. We had a tackling drill. Coach blew the whistle. Two of us ran into each other full speed. Only parts of our bodies that made contact. Lyle's helmet hit into my helmet in a head-on violent collision. My right shoulder was smashed into the cutting edge of my fiberglass pads, and we slammed to the ground. When Lyle got off of me, my eye drooped. I had loss of speech. I couldn't talk anymore. My right side was paralyzed, and my arm dangled helplessly at my side. Coach comes running over. Clark, you all right? What happened? He says, whoa, are you from Wellsville? I'm just kidding you. He said, you better just lay there. I said, whoo. A doctor that was present on the field, he came over and he examined me. Pulls the coach aside. He says, Clark's got serious nerve damage. In fact, he might even have serious brain damage. Coach looks at him and says, how will we ever know? Nice guy. Finally, my eye went back to normal. My speech came back. I could basically talk again. But my right side stayed paralyzed. My arm dangled at my side. I talked to it and it wouldn't move. Scared me to death. Fast forward, I stayed paralyzed for 14 months. I went to 16 of the very best doctors in all of North America. 16! 15 of whom told me I would never, ever get any better. Any of you ever heard that? What happens if you believe it? You're never going to get any better. And my life hit a fast-moving downward spiral until I hit what I thought was rock bottom. You see why I already illuminated what my new belief system is, my up-leveled understanding that there's no such thing as rock bottom. I was there, my friends. I'd lost my identity. I thought I was a football player when in reality that's just what I did, not who I am as a man. And I had an invitation trial by the Kansas City Royals out of high school as a baseball pitcher, and it's my right side, in one moment in time, bam, everything I thought I was going to be and everything I hoped to be and everything I dreamed to be was taken away from me. Are you strong enough to get back up and go again? I had suicidal thoughts. Have you? Apparently you didn't complete it or you wouldn't be here. Do you realize the spike in suicides has escalated through COVID? And I've tried to figure out why. And I really believe it's because we've been reeled in to believe that we must pivot out of COVID-19. We must pivot. Do you realize when you pivot, all you do is go around in a circle and end up in the exact same spot you started? If you're serious about being an entrepreneur, you're not going to pivot. You're going to be innovative. You're going to innovate. You're going to take what is and figure out a way through passion, creativity, and imagination to turn it into everything it has the possibility to become and fix what's broken and plug the holes in the dam. It's so critically important. And when we do we not add value as a human being, not as a human doing? Yeah, and now we start exchanging ideas for money and not time for money, which means we really can be wealthy. Oh my goodness. It's so critically important that you understand that while I hit rock bottom, in reality I didn't hit rock bottom. And now that I've recovered, may I just share the two most frequently asked questions. Number one, Clark, why did you go to so many different doctors? Answer, I kept going from doctor to doctor until I found one who believed I would get better. It's important as an entrepreneur to start finding people who believe in you, and then we'll trust you in a conversation brainstorming about an amazing idea. One of my dearest friends, Dave Spafford, He's 23 years of age. Actually, he's 22 years of age. He'd just come back to the University of Utah, having served his God. And he's in a class, a marketing class, with this total, with all due respect, nerd, who I absolutely love and respect. Remember, you work your strengths, you hire your weaknesses. He found this complete nerd, but they became instant friends, connecting at that deepest love, respect, admiration level. And this young man comes to Dave Spafford one day in his college marketing class and says, you know what? I've invented this little deal, and I'm calling it a modem. You got any ideas about how I could possibly market this? Dave Spafford is the consummate entrepreneur. He says, yeah, let me check up on it. He doesn't just take reckless risk. He takes calculated risk. So what did he do? He got on the phone with Hewlett-Packard in Roseville, California, in IBM and with Xerox. And he asked the simple question. He worked his way through the telephone chain until he found the person in the design department and said, are your current computers, your current laptop computers, equipped to run at a faster speed than they are right now? And every one of them said, oh yeah, they're already wired and engineered to run at a specific, an unbelievable high speed, but we don't need that kind of speed in our computers. He goes back to his classmate and says, yeah, I can help you. He's 22. At age 36, he sells his company for $1.3 billion to U.S. robotics. And he became an instant gajillionaire? No. He put in those 11 years coming up with a gajillion-dollar idea and then figured out how he could persevere and keep going, only finding people and attracting people who believed like he believed. The second most frequently asked question I'm asked, now that I've recovered, what took me so long to change? What took me so long to recover? The answer is simple. I was asking the wrong questions. I was asking the doctors how to get better when I should have been asking myself why. Once we answer why, figuring out the how-to becomes clear and simple. Are you married? Okay. How long have you been married? Very cool. What's your name? Dylan. Dylan, cool name. What's your name? McKenna. Very cool. So if Dylan wakes up every single morning and asks himself one question and answers it in the affirmative, why am I married? There's a really good chance you can stay married for the next hour. And if you wake up 7 days in a row and answer, why am I married, in the affirmative, you can be happily married for a whole week. You did that for 3 weeks in a row, you're going to set a record in the state of California. See how easy it is? Why are you going to be an entrepreneur? Oh, you caught me. Why are you going to be an entrepreneur? No, the question should be, why are you an entrepreneur? What are you willing to wake up early and stay up late to just figure out so that you love what you're doing, you're willing to take the calculated risk, and you figure out a way to not work for yourself, not be self-employed, but exchange ideas for money, which makes you wealthy. I hope you understand that adversity introduces us to ourselves. No one will ever know how strong we are until being strong is our only choice. That's what I learned from my paralysis. And I challenge you to look at your failures, to look at your ideas, to look at everything positive and negative, and make sure you understand that that's the school of greatness that Lewis Howes talks about. That's how we become the very best versions of ourselves. I have some formulas. I want you to write this formula down. Every single culture, personally, friendships, those of us who are married with children, in our homes, in small businesses, in family-owned businesses, in major corporations, every culture, military commands, NFL sports teams, every single culture is created between the strongest belief, the highest expectation, and the best behavior that the leader lives by. And the weakest belief, the lowest expectation, and the worst behavior that the leader tolerates. The two operative words in creating any culture: belief and what you're not willing to tolerate. So here's my suggestion, my friends, as we start to wind down our time together. Your friendship is a culture. Your home, your household, the way you raise your family is a culture. Utah State University has a culture. Your team, your football team, your basketball team, every part of this university, the College of Business, every single part of your life can be categorized and segregated into a specific culture. And the goal as an entrepreneur is to figure out a way to put ourselves in a position so we can control that culture. How do we do that? It begins with belief. Let me give you an example. From a personal perspective, 4 children, 1 son, 3 daughters. My wife and I, we decided that we're going to create a culture in our home that encourages peak performance. And as our children, especially our 3 daughters, became teenagers, we realized that their friends were being raised differently than we were raising our children. Can any of you relate? And we're fooling ourselves as parents if we think for a moment that we could organize a parent meeting and have every one of our children's friends' parents show up, and we could agree on how we were going to raise our children, and we do it all the same. That ain't never going to happen. We can't control what happens outside of our home, but we can always control what happens inside of our home. And we weren't self-righteous, pompous windbags. We just set the bar high. And I've already whipped off some of those qualities, those character traits, those cultural identities. Celebrate the social graces of please and thank you and kindness. Anyone who came into our house, hey, can you give me that? No, what's the magic word? Obviously, when our children were younger, they didn't catch on. Now, I'm like, that's not the magic word. It has to be please. No racism, no sexism. You always open the door for the person following you, always. You always give your chair up to someone who has a physical challenge or someone who's elderly. You use absolutely no vulgarity in our home, no smoking, no drinking, and absolutely no gossip, no backbiting. I remember going downstairs with a tray of some snacks and some drinks for my daughter and for my daughters and all of their friends. And when I came downstairs, I interrupted a conversation. They were bad-mouthing, gossiping about 2 girls who were not in our home that day. What a perfect teaching moment. I interrupted. I said, girls, excuse me, but if you're talking badly about some girls who are not here, the second you leave our home, you're going to worry and wonder what people are saying about you behind your back. We must do everything in our power to sustain trust. And as Covey taught us, we must be loyal to those who are not present. Gossip, can I trust you with my dream? Can I trust you with my heart? Who are you really? That's what an entrepreneur in my mind really is. And we could go off on story after story after experience after experience. I started my own business by accident because of belief. I was hurt and ended up wandering into the University of Utah football coach's office one day. A call came in from Morgan, Utah. High school football coach says, can you send somebody up to talk to my team before the season starts? Coach Wayne Howard knew it was good for me. He said, Clark, I think you should go do this. No, that's not me. I'm not a speaker. He said, trust me, Dan, you need to. I love you. I drove up Weber Canyon, about an hour, crying the whole way. Knew I would never play ball ever again. My heart's broken. My dreams are shattered. I parked my car wondering, what am I going to say to these teenagers? I'll never play the game I love again. And as I got out of my car, wandering to the football stadium, I wander into the stadium, and all these guys are pretty undisciplined, kicking back on the bleachers, talking about parties and their girlfriends. Their helmets are off. And all of a sudden, they stand at attention, dead silence. And I look left, and in the gate comes a golf cart. Coach Jan Smith with multiple sclerosis. And those young men had so much respect for this man. And he came in and basically shook me to my core. I would never feel sorry for myself again. And from that day, I dreamed about having that much respect where I would walk into a room and people would want to hear what I have to say or want to go to battle for me. I ended up speaking before 7 of their 8 football games that year. They won the state championship. I still have my Morgan State football championship ring that they gave me at the banquet. Have you ever wondered what motivated them to work so hard for Coach Jan Smith? They played for him. He would never walk again. He would never play football again. And he eventually died of his challenge, of his disease. I've never forgotten that because their principal heard me speak to the football team, invited me to speak to his high school student body. Then he called 4 friends. I went to speak at their schools. Next year I spoke 13 times. And then working at the sports mall, paralyzed, dreaming about how could I take this idea nationwide, statewide, and the rest is history. Zig Ziglar hears me speak. Remember, we have to calculate those we need to be in our path so that they can believe what we believe what they believe, and together we rise. Calculate who you need to meet. Make a list of folks you want to interview. Places you want to go. There's always a way, 6 degrees of separation. I meet Zig Ziglar. He takes me under his wing, flies me to Dallas. I speak to his company. He sponsors me in the National Speakers Association. He flies me down to Dallas with my bride, newlywed. 5-day seminar, Born to Win seminar, and it was there he introduced me to someone who introduced me to Nancy Reagan, who invited me to the Reagan White House, and the rest of my career is history. Less than 6 degrees of separation because I found a way to interact with the right person, decision maker, with the right influence, who could take my dream, my idea to the next level. I want you to think about that for the rest of the night, for the rest of your life. And then let me just conclude with one final story. Do you have any questions, any feedback? Don't be afraid, I won't flip your crap. Maybe. Any questions? Yeah, let me, before I call on you, bro. Is this something you thought I was going to talk about, or are you completely baffled going, what? You know, I mean, come on, man. I hope this was valuable, because we could talk about anything. I've been up in space 5 hours. In the video, I had to dumb it down because it's a classified mission. Almost 17 miles above the Earth's surface. Bezos, he goes up for 6 minutes. Sir Richard Branson, 10 minutes max. I sat in the sounds of silence, looking at the breathtaking curvature of the Earth, gazing into the endless blackness of the universe, pondering eternity for 5 hours, and it changed my life forever. I know you can make your dream come true. I know. I was hospitalized with COVID over Christmas. Almost died. Battling for life. 30 minutes away from ICU and being intubated. Coughed so violently I ruptured blood vessels in my vocal cords. Turned into cancer. I had vocal surgery on June 25th. I'm still battling back. I haven't always sounded like a 1-900 number. I'm so sorry. In fact, if I sound familiar to any of you, shame on you. We need to talk afterwards. But you know what? It made me a better person, just like my paralysis did. I believe in what you're about, and I hope you believe in what I'm about, because we're going to heal America. We're going to make the world a better place. Your idea alone is going to make you and others millions and millions of dollars if it's truly who you are. And an extension of why you do what you do. Why are you going to do this? And figuring out the how-to becomes clear and simple. Yeah, man, what's your name? Ryan. You're kind of buffed. Good steroid program up here at USU, eh? Dude. What's on your shirt? What's on your hoodie? The bear. Yeah, you're so buffed, you could actually make it kind of like run. You could like, whoa. Sorry to embarrass you. Are you single? That's good. How long? If your wife was here, you better get the exact amount of days that you've been married. About 1.5 years, I think. I don't know. What's your question, bro? What's your comment? That's a great question. It applies to all of us. Number one, call it a good idea book and carry it with you. Not your computer, not your tablet, something with a pen, with paper. Good idea book. You'll have good ideas at the most random times of the day. If you're driving in a car and you have a great idea, record it. You'll never know when that time has come. Are any of you into country music? Got gold records in country music. Guy by the name of Toby Keith. His first #1 tune was called How Do You Like Me Now? It was written by my buddy Chuck Cannon. He wrote that song and everybody told him it was a stupid song and nobody would record it for 12 years. And when its time came, Toby Keith recorded it. It was his breakout single. So keep a good idea book. Number 2, question everything. Question everything. Talking to Colton, where are you, bro? Still here? Yeah. I said, so what are you going to do with your mechanical engineering degree? He said, well, I'm going to look at access. You know, he's in a wheelchair. I asked him for his story. He can still get better. His spinal cord was not severed. He still gets tingling sensations. I know you're going to get better, bro, wherever you are. I know it. I just know it. I didn't say completely healed. I said, you're going to get better. His entrepreneurial idea, bro, is mechanical. I want to focus on access. I want to somehow better the wheelchair. I want to better the electric bike. I want to better this idea. How many of you have had a Krispy Kreme? Remember when that came out? My mom was a very famous caterer. And I said, Mom, you got to taste this new donut. She goes, a donut's a donut. I said, oh, no, it's not. I've gained 17 pounds on a Friday. Make it better. So now start questioning everything and then organize a brainstorming session. For whatever it's worth, I know you can name the same thing. I can name people who are dumber than a box of rocks who are making millions of dollars because of the idea they came up with. I was a keynote speaker in San Diego at a national entrepreneurship conference. So we had Ken Klein. He's the guy that invented the magnetic strip that allowed us to have credit cards. You know what? He was an audio engineer. He's recording music on the quarter-inch tape, reel-to-reel in a recording studio. And he gets this idea. If we can record music, people's words and music and melodies, why couldn't we record their financial data? And he invented the credit card. I'm on the program with Josh Reynolds. Google him. In the same year, he invented the Thigh Master. Do you remember this? And the Mood Ring. The same year, made millions and millions of dollars. He's on stage before me. I'm backstage going, how do I follow this guy? So I came out and I said, you know, that Thigh Master is just amazing. It's contagious. Once you start, you can't stop. And they're all kind of giggling. And I said, but I really want to thank Josh for the Mood Ring because it's amazing. I bought one for my wife. Works perfectly. When she's in a good mood, it turns blue. When she's in a bad mood, it leaves a red mark on my forehead. And he started laughing, going, man, where were you when I was trying to market this? Ideas. Just write them down. Come up with idea after idea after idea. And eventually, that idea's time will come, and you remember me when you're rich and famous. You all have them. Gather a circle of friends. Oh, Dave Spafford sold his business for $1.3 billion. He went to 5 high school buddies. He said, I'm starting this company. Are you in? 2 out of the 5 said yes. 2 out of the 5 said yes. Those 3 hate his guts. Actually, they hate themselves for not saying, I'm all in. You know, what are they making? You know, whatever. So, one last comment or anything? Yes, sir. Reading 1 book a week for the last 16 and a half years. Read a book. Analytics on sales. You ready? 44% of sales professionals quit after the first sales call. 24% quit after the second sales call. 14% quit after the third sales call. 12% quit after the fourth sales call. That's 94% of sales professionals who quit by the fourth sales call. And yet 85% of our deals are closed between the 5th and the 12th sales call. What does that have to do with our conversation? If you need to be trusted enough to be invited into the inner circle of someone's life enough times, 5 to 12 times, until they actually experience that transference of trust and you can close the deal, you better make yourself more compelling to be around, more fascinating to listen to, the most interesting person in the world. And how do we do that? The books we read, the people we hang out with, the places we travel, the classes we take. Do you realize the reason why you come to Utah State University isn't to get a degree? It's because you're going to have someone put in your path. You're going to meet someone who's going to change your stars forever. Could be personally and professionally. Only if you make yourself available. Law of attraction's real. Energy, vibration, frequency of that energy and vibration. If you're only focusing on business, if you're only focusing on getting that education, and that energy is coming out, you're never going to have second thought, eye-to-eye contact, belly-to-belly with anyone who can change your stars. But if you're really into, I am the best version of myself, and someone, him or her, is coming towards you, and they're sending out that same vibe and energy, you're going to meet personally and professionally. Yeah, routines. Read. Be willing to travel. You know what I would do? Because you're in the entrepreneurship program, which holds so much weight, Michael Glauser is respected all over this country. Your dean, Greg Anderson, he's respected. Doug Anderson, sorry. He's respected all over the country. I'd pull that string. Make a list of entrepreneurs. Make a list of billionaires. There's so many in Utah. You know, I'm a student at Utah State University. I'm in the entrepreneurship program. And with the help of Michael Glauser and the dean of the College of Business, we kind of made a list of the top 10 entrepreneurs in Utah. Could I come in and just take 30 minutes of your life and just find out your story? Could you help me? I'm just a 23-year-old. Every one of them's going to go, yeah, thanks for making me feel important and needed. Milk it. And all of a sudden they're going to say, wow, what's your name? What do you do? Oh my gosh, you know, we have an internship program. You're so sharp. This connection was unbelievable. This is real stuff, my friends. You're in a position where you can change your life forever if you just create it, not let it happen, but just be more disciplined. You know? I go to my son, classic example. I go to my son. I said, Danny, humble, I couldn't think of another name. I said, Danny, I want to choose who you marry. He said, no. I said, she's Bill Gates' daughter. He said, okay. I called Bill Gates. I said, I want your daughter to marry my son. He said, no. I said, he's the CEO of the World Bank. Gates says, okay. I called the president of the World Bank. I said, I want you to make my son CEO. He said, no. I said, he's Bill Gates' son-in-law. He said, okay. Just planting some seeds. Or, you know, catch a plane ride down to Houston, hitchhike up to the Woodlands, up to Kingwood. You'll find some gal, beautiful, smart, rich. Settle in. I'm just kidding you. Time for one more comment or question? I'm sorry. Yes. Oh. Now you want to talk.
Okay. My question is, if we are able to find one or two people, but we're having a hard time finding like 5 good like friends to help make like each other grow, what would you recommend doing to help us find those other? Like,
That's good. So what you're talking about, AJ, sorry, I'll get it right. He's referring, I think, to we become the average of the 5 people we associate with the most. How do you find and assemble your 5? Great advice. Create your own board of directors, your own personal board of directors. Somebody old like me, somebody who's your same age, a different gender, a different religious tradition, someone who's in a different field of interest, and create that trust. How can I help you? How can I serve you? No sales pitch, serve pitch. And make sure that you have that arrangement where you can call him or her at 2 o'clock in the morning if you have a family crisis. You can call that person on a weekend. And once you expose them to who you really are, which is my theme for the whole night, eventually they're going to introduce you to people whom they trust. Think about it. Climbing the leadership ladder is all about sponsorship. You can't leapfrog over this level of leadership to get to this one. If John C. Maxwell's correct with 5 levels of leadership, which I disagree with, you can't go from this level, one level, to level 3. You have to go to level 2. And the only way you can get to level 2 is to have someone at level 2 sponsor you because they trust you. You're not going to make a fool of them. They know your character. They know your attitude, your attributes, your heart, your soul. So create your own board of directors. And the 5 don't have to be the same 5 all the time. You know, Michael Glauser, I haven't seen him for so long. He's one of my 5, guaranteed. I know I can call him at any time of the night, and so he knows he can call me. Same with Ken Snyder. And then he goes into that 5 spot. at 4-spot. And it's like a basketball team. You don't want Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing point guard. You're going to lose every game. Let him do what he does. Play to your strengths, hire your weaknesses. Get the little guy with the point guard. So have your 5 so diverse. You know? Anyway, this is more fun. I should have been doing this the whole time. Sorry. Any other comments? Some of you have stopped looking at your watch. This dude took it off like, did it stop? My clothes have gone out of style just since I started to talk, so I apologize. I want to end with one story before you go. I don't even know what time it is, and that's so disrespectful. I should have looked at my watch like 3 hours ago. One last comment, Mr. Glauser, Mr. Anderson, anybody? Ken? Yeah. Look at that hair.
We have time for one more if there is.
Oh, sorry. So you're like the dad of the 16-year-old date, turning off and on the light like I've been out on the porch way too long. I'm sorry. Come in now. I'm so sorry.
I'm here to give you something. If anybody has anything else that they want to ask, feel free. We have one more. Over here. Right here.
Dan, there's a question right over there. So, you've seen so much. You've done so much. You've talked to so many people. You've been around the world everywhere. What haven't you seen that you want to see? Either in life, like seeing something new, or seeing people that you haven't seen. What do you want to see?
Did you all hear that question? I just might get emotional. I love America. I don't know how many of you have had the chance to travel. But when you hear all these wusses in America complaining about our country, saying that America sucks and that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong, I challenge every single one of them and every single one of you in this room to leave our country and perhaps live in a country until you catch the vision that America is still the greatest country on our planet. We have so many things we need to improve. We have so many things we need to deal with social injustice and all the other things that are real. But you don't badmouth America, and it's your generation who's going to fix it. Before I die, I want America to be what America was growing up, where everybody stood for the flag, where we honor our military men and women who are willing to sacrifice their lives so that we have the opportunity to gather in a theater tonight and laugh and cry and dream. I want America to go back to the Constitution that was inspired by inspired men. And that's not a gender-specific observation, that's just fact. They were inspired. When I landed in Iraq the very first time, and I landed in Baghdad and went to Balad Air Base, the commander of that base at the time was Colonel Blair Hansen, who just retired as a 2-star. And he's driving me to the headquarters, and when he gets to his desk, he takes out this little pocket-sized copy of the Constitution. I said, that's kind of strange to keep in your military uniform. Why? And he said, because not one military man or woman in uniform has pledged allegiance to a president of the United States or to a political party. They have pledged their life, if necessary, to defend the Constitution of the United States. I've been at Dover Air Force Base, our mortuary affairs, where all of the remains of the fallen killed in action come back to the States. When our 13 fallen troops, 11 Marines, 1 Army, and 1 Navy, who were killed in Kabul. I've been to Kabul. I've been right there at the Kabul airport. I've been to Baghdad, Bagram, I've been around. And when their remains come into Dover in the back of a C-17, and you see President Biden out on the tarmac looking at his watch, and you see these 13 flag-draped coffins, I've been there. And you hear the gasps and the cries of their families, of their wives, of their brothers and sisters, their moms and dads. And you see the sacred nature of that flag-draped coffin. And you realize it's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us the right to protest. It's the soldier, not the politician, who's given us the right to vote. It's the soldier, not the lawyer, who's given us the right for a free trial. It's the soldier, not the journalist, who's given the freedom of speech. It's the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, whose coffin is draped by the flag, who gives us the opportunity to be who we are, as well as giving that protester the right to burn the flag. America is the greatest country on this planet. And if you want to protest on your campus, that's a God-given constitutional civic liberty right you have. But may I just challenge you that what we need to do is keep our mouths shut unless we have a better solution as an entrepreneur to make America better than it's ever been before, because of you, because of me. No one should ever kneel for the flag when you see that it represents every fallen soldier that goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. It's what it represents. Their beef and their protest has validity. Just don't bring the flag into it. And that's not being politically incorrect, my friends. That's honestly answering your question. I can't take one of these things with me when I die. And in the hospital over Christmas, I almost did. And so you start focusing in on what I learned being almost 17 miles above the Earth's surface, looking into the endless blackness of space and realizing that when we landed, everything we can take with us when we die, I had aboard with me on that aircraft. Our education, we don't learn to know, we learn to do. Knowledge is power, but knowledge has no heart. All the information in the world is going to make a person successful. It's like the guy who has 3 PhDs, one in philosophy, one in psychology, one in sociology, doesn't have a job, but at least he can explain why. Bottom line, reason leads to conclusions, but it is emotion that leads to action. Second thing we can take with us when we die is our character. Adversity introduces us to ourselves. Anybody go into the gym and on purpose create discomfort by putting more weight on the bar, by spending a little bit more time on the Precor or on that treadmill? And then for some reason we tune out and turn off that on purpose discomfort when we go into the real world, and we want a front row seat and backstage passes to every concert. We want to sail in every store. We want princess parking at every mall. That's not reality. We need to on purpose create discomfort character. Third thing we can take with us when we die, our conviction. What do you really believe? Full circle. And number 4, did your life matter? If you died tomorrow, have you already done enough to make your life matter? Have you lifted others up? My wife and I volunteer 2 days a week at the Primary Children's Hospital down in Salt Lake City at the University of Utah campus. So we're around death and life all the time. Mothers and fathers of faith calling on heaven to just help heal their little sick child. Oh, it just rips your heart out. And just a little while ago, little kid born into the world, they named him Charlie. Intense eyes. You could tell he knew what was going on. He lived for 12 days. And you know what his father and grandfather said at the funeral, the memorial service at graveside that we were invited to attend? Little Charlie accomplished more in 12 days than most of us accomplished in 65 years. So many of those family members had been estranged for 30 years. They had stopped talking to each other. They were brutal enemies. Loved ones from the same family had stopped talking to each other. So much hate and resentment. And in 12 days, little Charlie's life brought them all to the Primary Children's Hospital. In tolerance, in forgiveness, in love. His life mattered even though it only lasted 12 days. Does yours, and will it once you leave here tonight? Because that's what it's all about. If we're going to heal America, if we're going to bring back that sense of patriotism, knowing that this really is the greatest country on the planet, we flush our toilets with fresh water. And there are places in this world where they walk 5 miles just to fill up a couple of jugs with fresh water to walk the 5 miles back to their family. With their little children mortality rate at 13 years of age because they don't have clean water. I love America, and I want you to love America too. And if you're going to protest, good. But let's protest something that will heal America, not divide us. Instead of focusing on cultural diversity, why not cultural commonality? Same God who made you, made me too. That's how I want to end my time with you tonight. Be someone worth dying for. Be someone that's so full of life that you're an entrepreneur that wants to fix things and make everybody around you better. But in that process, remember, in the military, we give medals to those who are willing to sacrifice themselves so that others may live. And in the corporate construct, we give bonuses to those who are willing to sacrifice others so that they may survive. We've got it backwards. Heal America. Go forward. Make Utah State University the healing campus. Diversity, equity, inclusion, tolerance, kindness. That's what I know you for. And I just honor you. I love you. I admire you. And I challenge you to take that leadership mantle seriously. Not just to be that leader as an entrepreneur in the business and marketplace, but in our society, in your dorms, in your apartment complexes, on campus. Pick up a piece of trash when you're walking, even though you didn't drop it. Make sure you compliment folks, especially in our masked world, because the eye is the window to the soul. You can tell when someone's happy, but you can tell when they're sad. You can tell when they're lonely. You can tell when they're angry. Let's reach out. Make America everything it has the possibility and potential to be, because it's the greatest country on our planet, and it will always be because of you, and hopefully because of me. God bless. Thanks for having me.
Dan, if you want to stay on stage, we do have a gift for you. It's been truly a pleasure to hear from Dan tonight, and I hope that we will all go forward and be better people because of what inspiration he has given us tonight. On behalf of the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Huntsman School of Business, thank you, Dan Clark.